Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Arundhati Ramanan and these are the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The 5-day AI Impact Summit kicks off in New Delhi from French President Macron to OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. Top policymakers and tech giants all set to brainstorm on shaping a sustainable AI future. CNBC-TV18 will be reporting live from the venue of the summit all week. TCS expands its AI partnership with chipmaker AMD. Both companies will offer a data center blueprint to support 200 megawatts of capacity. Plan to work with AI companies to accelerate data center infra in India. Global private equity giant Blackstone backs homegrown AI cloud startup Nysa, infusing $600 million by leading a fundraise worth $1.2 billion. Nysa CEO tells CNBC-TV18 the funds will be used to bolster computing infra. AI giant Anthropic expands India footprint with a new office in Bengaluru. CEO Dario Amodi says India is the second largest market for the company's chatbot Claude, and business run rate has doubled in the last 4 months. Indian trade negotiators will visit the United States next week to finalize the agreement for the first tranche of a trade deal. The team will pursue reduction of tariffs from 25% to 18%. India's trade deficit widens to a record high of more than $34 billion in January. Gold imports rise from $4 billion in December to $12 billion in January as India's penchant for gold ETFs has an unexpected impact. RBI tightens the rules for lending to capital market intermediaries, stock exchanges, brokers and clearing houses to be impacted as Street fears some moderation in overall trading activity across select cohorts.
3, 2, and 1!
India's first AI company, Fractal Analytics, lists at a 3% discount on its Dalal Street debut. Shares of Kwality Walls lists at a 26% discount after the HUL demerger. Ola Electric shares plunged to a record low, revenue down 55% in Q3 as the EV maker battles several issues with its products and servicing. Market share declines from nearly 25% last year to just 6%. The United States and Iran set to hold another round of talks in Geneva tomorrow. Iran is ready to discuss compromises to reach a nuclear deal, says the country's foreign minister. President Trump has warned of traumatic consequences if a deal is not reached. Those were the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. But first up on the show, a positive start to the week on Dalal Street. Nifty and sensex end at the high point of the day after a sluggish start. Nifty closed above the 25,650 mark. Nifty Bank was the outperformer, gaining over 1% in trade. The Nifty IT index managed to end in the green thanks to a late rally after losing over 8% last week. The AI Impact Summit has kicked off in New Delhi. The 5-day summit will see top policymakers and tech giants from French President Macron to OpenAI CEO Sam Altman brainstorm on shaping a sustainable AI future. CNBC-TV18 will be reporting live from the venue of the summit all week. We are the first channel to go live from a specially crafted studio. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi has inaugurated an expo at the AI Summit in Delhi. This expo will be held for the next 5 days and is being positioned as a national demonstration of AI in action. The expo is spread across 10 arenas covering more than 70,000 square meters. The expo will feature over 300 curated exhibition pavilions and live demonstrations.
This is what it means when you say that India is the AI talent capital, or rapidly becoming, a skill and talent capital for AI.
What AI does to jobs, is that something that will also be a part of the conversations that we have here?
I mean, we had a working group on human capital, which describes or which discusses both aspects, both in terms of whether jobs, what it will do to jobs, one part, and the other part, what kind of reskilling and retraining you need, and what kind of skilling do you need to future generations to make sure that they are AI ready for their jobs.
The CEO of India AI Mission, Abhishek Singh, expects AI semiconductors to be designed in India in the next 3 years. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, Singh played down the fears of a SaaS apocalypse as he expects AI to create more value for IT services in the long term.
Stock market movement should not impact long-term strategy and long-term planning. So these things keep on happening in the markets, like stocks go up, stocks go down, that will happen. But looking at the Indian industry, we need to look at the opportunity that is coming in the AI transformation services. Of course, business will not be as usual. With the disruption that AI is causing, there will be need for building more capability into agentic AI, there will be need for building in more capability into physical AI, edge AI, providing AI transformational services, building agentic AI capabilities. A lot of skilling, reskilling requirements will be there, and Indian IT industry is planning to address that gap from what I have heard from all of them. So while there might be feeling that in short term, some services are getting disrupted, but in the long term it will lead to creation of more value, because the strength that we have is our talent, and no other country will have as many companies and as many engineers building AI transformation services.
IT major TCS is expanding its partnership with chipmaker AMD. Both companies will offer a data center blueprint to support 200 megawatts of capacity. Rachna Dhanrajani joins us now with all of those details. Rachna, tell us more about this partnership and what it sort of entails.
Right. AMD and TCS have expanded their strategic partnership. They've announced to bring the next-gen Helios rack-scale AI architecture to India with the intention of targeting large enterprises and sovereign AI demand. Now, the company said that the platform will support an AI-ready data center blueprint scalable up to 200 megawatts. The deployment will be driven through TCS subsidiary Hypervolt AI Data Center Limited and is aimed at hyperscalers, AI firms and large enterprises that are now moving from AI pilots to production scale. The Helios stack will run on AMD Instinct MI455X GPUs next-gen, EPYC Venice CPUs, Pensonado Volcano networking and the ROCm open software ecosystem. Now, all of these are designed with an intention and an aim to improve performance efficiency and reduce deployment timelines in simpler terms. But the timing is significant here because India's India AI mission has committed more than 10,000 crore rupees toward building domestic AI compute capacity, while industry estimates suggest that the country's data center capacity is set to more than double this decade. Now, large AI clusters have high power demand, making rack scale high-density designs extremely critical. So this announcement also builds on TCS's deeper push into the AI infrastructure layer. Because in November 2025, if you remember, TCS secured a $1 billion investment from TPG to accelerate Hypervolt, which is the subsidiary, and the broader commitment was of up to 18,000 crore rupees to build gigawatt-scale AI-ready data centers in India. So taken together, the AMD TCS Helios move now reflects a broader shift because now the focus is moving beyond models and pilots. It is now towards the harder problem of compute, power and scalable domestic infrastructure. Back to you.
All right, Rachna, many thanks for taking us through those details. Now, the other big headline is Blackstone's bet on AI in India. The global private equity giant has agreed to invest $600 million into homegrown AI startup NESA. Blackstone led the funding in an overall round worth $1.2 billion. Speaking exclusively to CNBC-TV18, co-founder Sharad Sanghi said the funds will be used to ramp up their computing capacity. NESA is planning to deploy 20,000 GPUs in India. NESA focuses on the infrastructure layer that powers AI systems rather than building consumer-facing tools. NESA allows companies to rent high-performance computing resources on demand.
You know, they being such experienced investors in the entire AI ecosystem space, we thought they will help us in all the aspects of AI. So in addition to the capital, which is of course needed, they're also going to help us in supply chain resilience with data center availability, with GPU availability, and also with the learnings that they've had. Capital deployment will largely be in GPU infrastructure. We want to build sovereign AI infrastructure in the country, and as and when we need it, we will deploy more and more capital. So it's $600 million in equity and $600 million in debt that they will arrange for us. They've already got through their banking relationships, have arranged $600 million debt for us. So, as we scale, our vision is to build, several inferencing clusters across the country, initially in India, and then maybe even in Asia Pac.
And staying with the AI summit, Indian hyperscale data center company Yotta Data Services and chipmaker NVIDIA are expected to announce a major expansion in the AI computing capacity in India. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, company CEO Sunil Gupta has said this is India and the Global South's AI moment. The company is aiming to raise nearly $1 billion to bolster its computing capacity.
We have already invested more than $1.5 billion, right? I'm not talking about the money which is going into the chips as we are speaking about. The newer chips will require another $2 billion worth of investment. And as you can assume that if you are making these type of these type of investments, which is futuristic, which the returns of which will be coming over a period of time, you not only need to raise debt from the banks, but you also need to raise capital, equity capital. We are already in our pre-IPO round. If everything goes well, we will be in the public market with the IPO within this financial year itself.
A quick programming note, Sam Altman, OpenAI CEO and one of the key architects of the AI revolution, will speak exclusively to CNBC-TV18 later this week. Sam Altman will be in the hot seat on CNBC-TV18 as we ask him to chart out the AI future. From OpenAI to Anthropic, the CEO of the AI giant, Dario Amodei, is in India to attend the summit. He was in Bengaluru today to announce the company's new office. This is Anthropic's second office in Asia after Tokyo. India is the second largest market for the company's popular chatbot, Claude, and Anthropic's business run rate has doubled in India in just 4 months.
Anthropic's business, its run rate revenue within India has doubled over the last 4 months since I last visited. On Claude Code may have grown even faster. We're just going through the ability to kind of build software with AI and build as kind of developers on top of AI and build new applications and I think again just the kind of efficiency of the market here, the energy of very large numbers of people wanting to, find something and build something. I think that greatly exceeds, what I've seen anywhere else. You shouldn't build for where the AI models are now. You should build for where they are in a year or two. If you're a large enterprise, if you're, a big effort trying to build something, it's going to take a while to actually deploy and test things. So, you should be imaginative about where the technology is going to go. Don't build for step 4 out of a 10-step workflow. Try and do the whole workflow, even if the AI model isn't quite capable of it yet. The companies that have understood that, the kind of users that have understood that, I think have gotten much further ahead than others, and they kind of see the future because they're able to use models in ways that correspond to a product that we haven't released yet. And I think on software, we're starting to go more end-to-end. The models are starting to do multi-stage workflows, and, humans can step into the role of supervisors and, accelerate themselves by a factor of 10x to 100x. I think we need to kind of let 1,000 flowers bloom and try a bunch of different approaches in a bunch of different locations in the world and a bunch of different parts of those industries. They're big industries and there's room for dozens of startups in any of those areas. So I think it's a very exciting time.
Infosys is expected to lay out a new strategy for artificial intelligence at its Investor Day tomorrow. While speaking to Shireen Bhan at the World Economic Forum in Davos, CEO Salil Parekh said that the company will highlight how AI will boost revenue growth and margins. Take a look.
In February, we will do an Investor Day where we will outline in a little bit more color what the specific revenue opportunities are.
Could you give us a little bit color before you get to your Investor Day on what these revenue opportunities could potentially look like?
So what we are seeing is a good set of these 6 revenue opportunities. Another example is in customer service, where we see a lot of AI agents working to change how customer service works, customer experience, even more than customer service. Then there is we will also share there are some places where there is a compression in revenue. What we are seeing across the industry in terms of tech services. And what we have started to see now is the growth opportunities larger than the compression opportunity over a number of years. And that's what we want to showcase.
India's penchant for gold ETFs has pushed the trade deficit to a record high of just under $35 billion in January. The value of gold imports almost tripled compared to last month. Lata Venkatesh is here with more on the widening trade deficit. Lata?
Yeah, this is some kind of an all-time high in terms of a monthly trade deficit, coming in at $34.68 billion. We normally do around $20 billion to $25 billion. The rise is because imports have jumped a lot. The January imports have come in at $71.24 billion, good 12% higher than what it was in December, which was around the normal average of $63.5 billion. Exports, meanwhile, have done a little worse. Remember, that is the month of 50% US tariffs. So it is $36 billion versus $38 billion that we did in December. And the biggest culprit for the higher imports is gold. Gold imports rising to $12 billion, again some kind of a monthly record, compared to only $4 billion in December. The January gold imports being higher was something people would have smelt, because last week the Association of Mutual Funds of India announced that India saw a record rise in gold ETFs. Investors were putting as much into gold ETFs as they had put in equities. That was one of the details that came out from the AMFI data. It was about 24,000 crore rupees that had been invested in gold ETFs, and exchange traded funds or gold ETFs have to be backed by physical gold, and that may have led to the record gold imports of nearly $12 billion in January, leading to the higher trade deficit.
All right, Lata, many thanks for taking us through those details. Now, Indian trade negotiators will be visiting the United States next week to finalize the agreement for the first tranche of a trade deal. The team will pursue reduction of tariffs from 25% to 18%. Abhimanyu Sharma has all of those details. Abhimanyu?
India's chief negotiator Darpan Jain is expected to visit the United States next week to finalize the legal agreement for the first tranche of a BTA. Now, India is expecting US tariffs to drop to 18% by as early as this week itself. However, if that does not take place, there is a likelihood that the Indian visiting negotiating team may take up the issue in person with the American officials. Both the sides are looking to sign a legal agreement by March 2026, though the Commerce Ministry indicated that a deadline cannot be ascribed to the same. On the import of pulses and varieties of cotton from the United States, more clarity is awaited on market access in the legal agreement. So it remains to be seen what would be the exact details which are going to be mentioned in the legal agreement, which both the sides are looking to sign by the March of this year. Now, digital trade barriers also are something which both the sides are going to decide, even as there has been an indication from government sources that digital trade barriers will not be a part of the first tranche of the BTA. As far as India's import diversification from the United States is concerned, the US is being looked at as a potential source for a diversification of imports in not just energy, but even for parts of data centers, as well as for several precious metals, in which India is looking to increase its overall imports from the United States as part of increase in bilateral trade. As far as cotton is concerned, India is already importing US cotton worth $250 million, and since the demand for cotton is expected to rise within India by virtue of an increased market access within the American market and also in several other FTA partner countries, there have been indications as per government sources that more imports of cotton may be undertaken to ensure that there is no shortfall of cotton in production within India.
All right, Abhimanyu, thank you so much for taking us through those details. The new United States ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, paid a visit to the Western Command headquarters in Chandigarh. In a social media post, Sergio Gore said, and I quote, "Just landed in Chandigarh, looking forward to visiting the Western Command of the Indian Army," end of quote. India's Western Command was in action last year during Operation Sindoor. US President Donald Trump has repeatedly claimed that he helped broker a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. Indian government has denied President Trump's claims. The USA will hold indirect talks with Iran about its nuclear program tomorrow at the Omani embassy in Switzerland. The talks follow an initial round held in Muscat on the 6th of February. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has expressed America's intent to try and sign a new deal with Iran to cease hostilities.
We're dealing with radical Shia clerics. Okay, we're dealing with people who make geopolitical decisions on the basis of pure theology. And it's a complicated thing. I mean, no one's ever been able to do a successful deal with Iran, but we're going to try.
And on that note, it's time for us to head into a short break. But coming up on India Business Hour, Ola Electric shares plunged to a record low after a dismal Q3. Market share is down to just 6%. Details in just a bit. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Fractal Analytics made a tepid debut on Dalal Street. It is India's first AI company to list on the bourses. Fractal listed at 876 rupees a share, which is lower than its IPO price of 900 rupees. Fractal Analytics is an open-source data analytics platform. It became a unicorn in 2022 after raising $360 million from private equity firm TPG. Kwality Walls also went public today after the Hindustan Unilever demerger. The stock listed at a 26% discount with a market capitalization of 7,000 crore rupees. The ice cream business accounts for 3% of HUL's annual turnover at 1,800 crore rupees. The Reserve Bank of India has tightened rules for lending to capital market intermediaries. The new rules, which will come into effect from the 1st of April, will require credit facilities to be fully backed by eligible collateral and subject to stricter monitoring. Ritu Singh has all of those details. Ritu?
That's right. RBI has tightened the norms around lending to capital market intermediaries, including brokers. And these are not draft rules. These are directions that are going to kick in from the 1st of April. Now, the rules say that banks can now only lend to capital market intermediaries that are registered and regulated. Second, every rupee of lending to brokers and similar entities is now going to be classified as capital market exposure. And that means it falls under stricter exposure caps as well. Now, here's the big shift. Banks are completely barred from funding proprietary trading, or that is allowing brokers to buy securities for their own books using bank money. So that door is effectively shut now, but market-making finance is allowed. But interestingly, the securities involved cannot be used as any collateral. And if banks give guarantees to brokers for exchanges, at least 50% collateral is mandatory, with 25% of that in cash. Now, all such loans will also have to be 100% secured. And if equity shares are pledged, banks will also have to apply a minimum 40% haircut. So in terms of the impact, there's no two ways about it. The circular is tough, especially on proprietary traders and the F&O segment in particular. Now, HDFC Securities, for instance, told us that since proprietary activity accounts for nearly 40% of F&O volumes, trading volumes there could decline by as much as 15 to 20% when the circular is implemented. Citi says it is premature to gauge the overall P&L impact at this juncture, but brokers, clearing members and exchanges are likely to be impacted. JM Financial says that this may reduce bank funding access and result in higher trading costs for brokers.
All right, Ritu, thanks for decoding those new rules for us. Moving on, the Ola Electric stock plunged to record lows after a dismal third quarter. Revenue down 55% and the quarterly loss of 490 crore rupees is higher than the revenue. Ola's market share is also down to just 6%. Sudarshan Kumar is here with all of those details. Sudarshan?
It's a weak set of numbers that Ola Electric has presented for Q3 FY26. If you talk about revenue, it has halved. And if you talk about the bottom line, company has reported the amount of loss, which is much more than the revenue that company has reported. And it has happened for the first time in several quarters that the amount of loss is more than the revenue. And what has dragged the numbers? Two things. First, volumes have been seeing fall. In Q3 also, volumes were down 61% YOY and down 38% sequentially. And if you talk about the market share, in the month of January, company's market share has fallen and it's below 6%. And if you compare against January of 2025, that time company's market share used to be around 25%. And from that level, that's a huge fall. And another factor that's dragging the numbers is the employee cost. On a sequential basis, employee costs have almost doubled to 92 crore from the level of around 52 to 55 crore. Now come to the headline numbers. Company has reported loss of 490 crore versus the loss of 560 crore, and revenue is down 55% YoY. Even on a sequential basis, there is a fall of almost 32%. EBITDA loss has narrowed YoY, but on a sequential basis, there also it has seen an increase, and it has reported EBITDA loss of 271 crore. If there is one silver lining, that's the improvement that company has reported on the gross margin front. In Q3 FY26, gross margin has come at 34.3% versus 18.6% YoY and versus 30.9% sequentially. Now coming to the stock. Stock is trading near 52-week low. And if you talk about the brokerage views, the lowest target price brokerages have is of 20 rupees per share and highest is of rupees 55 per share. So even from this level, brokerages are saying further around 25 to 30% fall in the stock price.
Right, Sudarshan, many thanks for those details. But with that, it is a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Many thanks for watching. The news continues right here on CNBC TV18.